Hello everyone, my name is Anitsu and I'm back with another Digimon video. So today I'm going to be taking a look at some of the more cards that were spoiled over the past couple of days from the 4th Digimon booster set, and oh boy, these cards are looking really good. So first up, let's start with Beowulfmon. So Beowulfmon is a level 5 blue Digimon. Stats aren't anything too particularly special, but he does have the jamming ability, so that's already pretty decent considering we just got a lot of jamming support. And then on top of which, he has another ability during the opponent's turn. If this Digimon has a tamer as a evolution source, then this Digimon cannot be attacked. So that's really good considering this is one where you kind of just want to sit on him just because he has jamming, and he already fits relatively nicely into the Imperial Dramon deck because you could play an extra Davis and then use that Davis to Digivolve up into Beowulfmon, and then you could just literally sit on Beowulfmon, and then when you get an Imperial Dramon out, then you'll get an extra attack with Beowulfmon. So he already has a whole bunch of good possible synergies there, and he's definitely looking to be a very good card. Next up, we have Shine Greymon. So this Shine Greymon is pretty interesting because he's just doing quite a lot. So the first big thing to note with this Shine Greymon is he evolves off of red or yellow. So he could already fit very nicely into the existing yellow Shine Greymon deck, and that's pretty good. On top of which, red and yellow already have a little bit of crossover with Sylphimon, so this could be a good card to kind of start building a red-yellow hybrid deck with. But he has a pretty nice ability where during your turn, when your red or yellow tamer card is suspended, then this card gains security attack +1 for the turn. So obviously in yellow, we have Shine Greymon to rest the tamers, and then in red, we could play the Sora to have Sora be able to rest herself. So it's not necessarily going to be very hard to give this card some extra security attack, and that's just going to be very powerful, being able to deal a lot of damage all at once. Next up, we have War Greymon. So this is a War Greymon in yellow. We already had a War Greymon in black, and we have plenty of War Greymons in red. So seeing a shift to yellow is definitely a very interesting thing. On top of which, he has a really powerful ability where he has a win attacking ability once per turn. By adding the top card of your security stack to your hand, you unsuspend this Digimon, and then one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000 DP. So this is actually a really powerful ability, because not only does he have the ability to unsuspend himself, which is generally a blue thing, but he's also debuffing one of the opponent's Digimon by 6,000, which is a pretty decent amount, considering you could be running it with a couple of other cards to continue to reduce the Digimon's DP, and then you get all of the bonuses for reducing the Digimon's DP to 0 potentially. And then with War Greymon, let's not forget that we're adding cards from our security to our hand, so it is a form of card draw, on top of which it's reducing our own security stack, so that way we have more ways to get to that 3 threshold where it seems like yellow really wants to be at for a lot of other good possible synergies to start happening as well. So this card is just an absolutely fantastic card, and I think this is going to be a really good inclusion in a lot of potential yellow decks, or as a workaround card for some brand new yellow decks. Next up, we have Nidhoggmon. So Nidhoggmon was originally shown in the new Digimon anime, and he is definitely a really interesting Digimon because this card is just doing a lot. So the first big thing to note is his stats are a little bit different compared to a lot of other level 6s. So he does have 1300 DP, which is on the higher side compared to a lot of others, but as a result his evo cost is a lot higher too. But because he's in green, that doesn't exactly matter as much, considering green has a lot of tempo tools to get up into their levels a lot faster than other colors. And on top of which, they also have the hidden potential option card, which basically could just reduce this evo cost to 0. So that's kind of neglectable that its evo cost is so high, and then you're never going to pay its initial cost because of his ability. So what his ability is when you Digivolve into him, you get to Digiburst 4. So basically you remove all of your Digivolution sources from him to trigger this effect. And then what his effect is after you meet the conditions is you get to suspend all of your opponent's Digimon with 5,000 DP or less, and then put all of your opponent's suspended Digimon back to the bottom of the deck in any order. So this is a really powerful board clear because even though it's only suspending the Digimon with 5,000 DP or less, it's returning all suspended Digimon. So it doesn't even have to be the ones that were suspended from this effect. So this is a very, very powerful board clear ability for green, on top of which it's a Digimon with a really, really high DP in green, which could be scary because obviously a big part of green's identity is being able to beat up on the opponent's Digimon. But them naturally having a card with high DP also allows them to easily win more security checks, but the Digiburst ability is at the cost of all of its evolution sources. So this effect is at the cost of all of the Digivolution sources, so you could very easily not necessarily care about any of your evolution sources if they're not really doing a whole lot, and that's what makes this card really, really powerful. And then it's not even going to be a target for the Digivolve because it doesn't have any Digivolution sources in it. So this is just a very, very fantastic and very, very powerful card for green. Next up, we have Plutomon. So Plutomon is another purple mega where it has a pretty decent when Digivolving ability where you get to draw 2 cards, and then you get to play 1 6 or below option card from your hand without paying its memory. So this is kind of fitting more in line with what Lilithmon and the promo Purple Metal Garurumon is doing, where it's incentivizing you to play more option cards, which I generally think is a good thing because there's plenty of good option cards that a lot of people aren't necessarily playing just because they don't exactly fit very well with the deck. And Purple definitely helping you want to play more option cards definitely adds another different type of deck style to the color. And I think that's very, very good and very, very healthy for not only the color, but for the game as well. And on top of which, you don't necessarily feel too bad about not being able to attack with him right away because his evolution cost is a little on the higher side. But again, you don't necessarily care about attacking with him right away because you're really going for this when Digivolved ability. And drawing cards is really good, and obviously playing cards for free is also really good. So I just think this card is a very fantastic card and could have a lot of potential good synergies with a lot of option cards based on what new option cards we would be getting, and a couple of ones we already have in the game. Next up, we have Greymon. So Greymon is a level 4 red Digimon, which is pretty interesting considering we already had Vidramon or Burning Greymon as a level 4 also. So based on the Frontier show, they had this whole side evolution where they have a human form and a beast form. So Burning Greymon was the beast form and Greymon is the human form. And then obviously they combine into a hybrid form, which is looking like that's going to be the level 5. So the big thing about Greymon is he has a very similar ability to Burning Greymon. You can Digivolve this card from your hand from a red tamer and treat that red tamer as a level 3 Digimon. So he's just another way to get that like hybrid type ability where the level 5 is going to want to have a tamer in its evolution source. So this is just a pretty solid card just for that ability, and outside of that, it's just your average level 4, which isn't necessarily the best thing, but it's not the worst thing. And then the last card that we got shown over the past couple of days is Victory Greymon. So Victory Greymon is a pretty decent card considering he has a nice when Digivolving ability of Digiburst 2 as the condition, where you remove 2 cards from its Digivolution source to use its when Digivolving ability, and the ability is you get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 8,000 DP or less. So this is just a more removal on a Digimon. It's a one-time use kind of effect, but the body is good enough, and the other abilities that you could keep on the card could be good enough where this card is definitely going to be a very, very decent option for a lot of red decks. So I definitely think, even though the card is a little bit on the basic side, it's still doing a very, very powerful thing, which is just more removal, and that's just what a lot of Digimon want on their abilities, is just the ability to remove the opponent's Digimon. So I think all of these cards are really, really powerful, and I definitely am liking the direction of the set. And I hope that we get to see a lot of the mechanics that were in set 3 get expanded upon, and on top of it, this new hybrid mechanic get expanded on as well in the future. So I definitely am really liking the direction so far, and I think all of these cards are very, very powerful and could build either new decks with or go into a lot of the existing decks. So that's kind of really all I have for this video. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts on any of the cards down in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next video.